Well, folks, we are back, and it's been a while. You have Noel and myself back on the 6 Yard Line podcast, but we're going to give you some summertime transfer talk. So, how you doing, Noel? And just so everybody knows, Noel's over on this side today.
Oh, you got it the wrong way. It's that side. There you go. Okay.
Well,
now the heavy stuff's done. Let's talk about the why we're here today. Why we're chatting about. It's the silly season. We are Premier League transfer news, and some teams have been spending like drunken sailors already. Honestly, it's I was quite shocking to see the amount of money that some teams have already spent. And we've got a lot of teams that are still on the zero transfers done. We're recording this on the 4th of July, so it's a pretty much you're either full bore into your transfer window, or you're still thinking about making an offer or trying to get somebody over the line. And so I think we're just going to do the top 5 spenders so far. Number 4 is a shocker to me, but it's good to talk about a team that's not, a conventional team, and a team that's come out trying to do something a little bit different. Okay, so the next one is not a surprise to anybody that watches soccer. Chelsea signing João Pedro for 60 million, Liam Delap, Estavio William from Palmeiras, which we knew about. That was a deal that was done, I think, in pretty much in January. Waited till the summer to be completed, and then they added the biggest one to the list was Jamie Gittens, which is 48.5 million plus an additional 3 from Dortmund. Oh, Chelsea! I don't know how many players that you can need. The idea is, when I was listening to Maresca talk, he's kind of João Pedro is going to be in that winger striker role. Interesting. Liam Delap obviously came over from Ipswich, going to compete for that striking role with Nicholas Jackson. Jamie Gittens, another winger from Dortmund. I just don't know where to go with Chelsea. Honestly, how much?
I got a question. Have they figured out their keeper situation yet? Like, I know they sold.
Well, they've sold 2. So they're 2 out of 7. So they're down to 5. So I don't think we expect any, but I expect them to sign a goalkeeper. But
no, I don't expect them, but still, they still have
6 more players.
You know what? Good on Chelsea and keep spending that money, right? I don't know how they're able to get away with it, because we know they didn't get away with it when it came to UEFA, but somehow in the Premier League turns a blind eye to Chelsea spending, and it just
they are constructing loopholes. They are constructing loopholes like crazy to avoid FFP, and it's a mockery when you kind of sit down and look at how much that other teams are like struggling, and now other teams are looking at copying the loophole. Villa's going to sell its women's team to itself, to another company within itself, so they don't have to sell players. It's just Chelsea have done it. This is what they're doing. All these players are mortgaged over 7 to 10 years, and which is another crazy thing, and because we don't really know what the economic impact is long term, what it does. But this is what they're doing, and it does seem very scattergun approach. I don't really know how all these players fit in. We understand, obviously, they let Jadon Sancho go back, so taking Jamie Gittens and replacing Sancho with Gittens. Delap is, I think is not a bad move, because at the end of the day, they do need somebody other than Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson, like 15 shots to score 1 goal. João Pedro is an odd one. Turned down Newcastle to join the ranks at Chelsea. And I kind of question their motivation for joining a team where the odds of you playing getting slimmer by the week.
Okay, so I have a question for you, right? As somebody who's from England specifically, obviously you're from Nottingham, right? Now, this is something I've heard, and I've heard a lot more and more before. Is it the London thing? Does it boil down to a lot of foreign players prefer London?
Um, London's, obviously it's got its really nice areas. It's got a lot of money. Newcastle versus London it is an acquired taste. But having said that, if you remember Gaitz Comendieta, the former Valencia player from Spain, actually once he retired, he stayed in Middlesbrough, which is not too far from Newcastle, right? Because he loved the area and loved the culture and loved the people, which not too many people do, but
Right.
it does help. At the end of the day, London's, it's a big city. It's like any big city in the world, right? It has its ups and its downs. So there is a little bit of that. I do, and obviously Brighton to London is only half an hour. So, for João Pedro, you've got a settled home and you've got a settled place. Driving half an hour to the training ground at Chelsea's, is not the end of the world. So in terms of moving and destabilizing your family or whatever else like that, it does make a lot of sense. So it might be a part of that, but again, you also got to sit down and look at, how much is the escape out of Chelsea going to cost you? How much is it, am I going to play? Because those are the questions that we always ask, right? Are you going to play every week? Are you going to start every week? And there's a lot of guys that, like you look at this Chelsea team and go, I don't know if they're all going to play. They're all going to probably get loaned out. Who's here because they're buying players for talent and investment, or who are they actually buying for the first team? And I think majority of this list, I say, would be in the first team to make them stronger to attack on all four levels again this year. I just really question, like, if João Pedro's, he had a decent season. Is he going to be the answer up front? I don't necessarily think so.
Okay, so won't Chelsea have to sell players?
Well, they're selling them, but they're selling them dirt cheap. Like you mentioned, Arsenal buying Kepa for $5 million. They paid 70 for it. A world record fee for a goalkeeper. They sold him for 70 million less. They did sign him in 2018. So, you take that, he stayed there 7 years, but, pretty much he left for free. So,
but I just find it astonishing that they're able to do what they're and there's no rhyme or reason to the players. It's not as if they're filling specific role. Like, yes, they need a striker, but at the same time, you're just, to me, you just have too much in the attacking role positions and not really like a clarity of who's gonna get minutes. Because if I'm a Chelsea player who just signed last year and I'm seeing all these other guys come in now and I'm just like, what? Like, where am I gonna play? Or doesn't he play in my spot? And I just replace the guy that's still here?
When I was looking at their squad list, I was going through it because it's a good point. Like, I was going through all the squad list, and I'm like, there's going to be a lot of players that they've got to sell cheap because they've got to move them on. This is the Callum Hudson-Odoi effect, right? So we all laugh that Forest spent $3 million on him, and we turned down a bids of $30 million for him in January from the likes of Tottenham and co. But they're going to have to sell players cheap, right? Because that squad is just bloated, and they just keep adding. Like they're the first out the gates. They saw Liverpool spending, and then suddenly, okay, we'll just buy Gittens, we'll just buy João Pedro, and then it's just such a scattergun. I don't really understand what they're actually trying to do, to be honest with you. And I don't think all these Maresca type players either. I think that's the other part of it too.
Well. And the joke is, you and I both know they're not done. They're still going to add more attacking players, right? And they're probably going to attack. They're probably going to strengthen their mid. Like, here's where I have to wonder. Like, don't they need to strengthen their defense?
I don't know, because they've got so many players.
There's that. You know what? I don't. I'm not even going to worry. I'm just going to sit here and laugh and. Will they probably finish in the top, in the top 4 or top 5 spot again next season? Most likely. right? When you're spending that kind of money, if you don't finish in that position, you have to question everybody.
Yeah, and I would just throw out a couple of names that they're going to have to deal with this year. So obviously Mudryk, who's got a 4-year potential ban. They've got Andre Santos, who they recalled. He was on loan at Forest, didn't get a look in. They sent him back. Christopher Nkunku wants out. He doesn't want to stay because he's obviously seen the writing on the wall. So that's one. You've got Raheem Sterling still floating around. You have, the likes of Ben Chilwell. Like they still have a lot of players. Fofana. Like I could go on for days. Like there's a lot of players that they've just got to make a decision on. I think when we sit back and look at this list, that it's going to keep growing.